Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another movie commentary. Today, we're looking at the animated Beauty and the Beast Disney movie.
It has been a while since we've looked at a Disney Renaissance movie. I still argue that this might be Disney's best era to date.
Yep.
And what better way to
It's
look at it than the third movie of it? You may think it was the second, but no, actually, Rescuers Down Under came out before this one.
yep.
This movie is arguably the reason that a Best Animated Feature category was made for the Academy Awards, just so that they wouldn't have to give this movie Best Picture. Because believe it or not, this animated film actually did get nominated for the Academy Award of Best Picture. And a lot of people argue that the Academy Awards, being the Academy Awards, don't want to admit that an animated film could ever be the best film of a year. But, disgruntled stuff aside, this movie did have a lot of impact. Also would get a great Broadway production. So, Shoy, why don't you formally introduce this particular experience for our audience, since it's your pick?
Um,
A story,
Furries?
a love story about a love story about how true beauty lies within. There you
Or
go.
a love story about a furry. There.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's-
there we go.
That's one way to sum it up.
I mean, that is
Yeah,
Disney,
the gutter.
honestly. Disney birthed a generation of furries.
Yeah. All right. So start before the newer Disney logo.
Yes, in 3, 2, 1, click.
One thing that I will also say is that once again I have to talk about this. The version we're watching is, of course, the version that has. It's basically okay. Here's the interesting thing about.
Oh,
Beauty
shouldn't
and
we
the
wait
Beast.
until we get to that point in the movie when you bring up that tidbit?
Do you even know what I'm about to bring up?
I'm assuming you're talking about that one edition that pretty much comes with every newer version of the movie that wasn't originally in the original VHS production.
I guess I'll wait till that scene comes up. I guess sure. Hold on, let me check something.
Oh yeah, Silver Screen Partners 4.
Oh, hey, I
That's
didn't know
the
this
name of
movie
the
was a...
movie.
Oh, hey, look, some leftover animation from Bambi. Cute.
Okay, we're watching the special edition, everybody. So in case you're not, just go back and do that. But that has the extra song from the Broadway musical.
You
We'll
know,
talk about it later.
it's a shame that they didn't add another song from the Broadway musical, but that's something I'll address later.
Honestly, Jova, if I were the one, actually, no, never mind. That was made up for the remake in general, not from the Broadway musical. Like,
I know what
prefer-
you're referring
in ter-
to, but there actually was an equivalent. Well, not entirely an equivalent, but the Beast did get his own
Yeah,
song
yeah.
in the Broadway musical.
I know. I saw Diva's review of the remake.
So who's the narrator?
He's
I
a
forgot the name of
narrator.
the. I forgot the narrator's name. I know who voices in my dub, but I forgot.
This is actually a pretty good opening, using the stained glass window setting to give us a little sneak peek at stuff. This will later get replicated partially in some of the video games, too.
Since you're an asshole, now you're a furry.
And yes, this is better than how the live-action version handled it. Now, I will say this, though. I do still like the live-action movie. I feel like it has its strengths and weaknesses, as does this movie. It's one of those cases where it does do some things that this movie could have. It also does some things not as well, as I did mention during our commentary of it.
This movie's the better of the two, but there are some noteworthy points from the remake. Yes.
I mean,
I'm
in terms of original versus remake, the one I think where both films are equally as good is Cinderella.
I will argue this the remake of Cinderella is way better than the original, to be honest with you. If anything, because the prince is an actual character.
Hey, Pedro, it's Kenneth Branagh when he's not on Quaaludes.
To be fair, they each have their strengths. Also, while the prince becomes more of a character, the mice become way less of characters, sadly.
Also...
Oh.
That's true.
Okay, well, here's one thing. The original...
Guys.
Yes.
All right, this is the part where Belle starts jumping around, avoiding birds that want to peck at her.
Also...
Huh?
I know you. Here's one thing the original definitely does better than the remake. Belle's singing.
Yeah.
Pedro O'Hara.
Belle is voiced by the living Disney legend herself, Pedro O'Hara, and she's absolutely wonderful.
Also...
Yes?
Yes, is she right?
We've seen a little bit of it already, and honestly, I'm not quite sure why they're portraying this as a bad thing, because honestly, Beast Prince looks better than actual Prince.
Oh,
he looks heckin' terrifying as a human.
You know what's funny? That's kind of a joke they even made in the live-action version where Belle asks the prince if maybe he might want to think about growing a beard. Like, that's always kind of an interesting thing. Like, when you have a character who's supposedly ugly, but they're actually animated very well to the point where you get endeared with them, to the point where their actual supposedly charming look is creepy in comparison.
He looks so high all the time.
Who does the lyrics to these films again?
What, sorry?
Alan Menken, I believe.
Alan Menken, yeah. Okay. Here's the songs of Beauty and the Beast were written and composed by Alan Menken and Howard Ashman. This was Howard Ashman's final movie that he worked on. Sadly, he died during the production of this movie.
Also, women reading is weird, apparently.
Well, remember, Shira, to be fair, this is like the 18th century, so
reading.
Because remember, Shira, Beauty and the Beast, this movie and Hunter x Notre Dame are happening at the same time, which it confirms that this movie takes place in the 18th century. So,
I mean, up to a certain point, no one was allowed to read for themselves because they were worried about information mobilizing people.
Oh, David Ogden Stiers, he was the narrator.
Oh, look, Welsh people.
The sheep.
Yes.
David Ogden Stiers? No, he was American.
Oh, actually, speaking of the sheep, I like this bit here. I love how the sheep is even looking at the book.
But we can't read, we're sheep.
Well, what do you think they really want? There you go.
The book. I gotta say, Belle's taking the sheep eating her book really well.
You do know you have to return that book to the library, right?
Yeah,
Actually, remember, Jova, the bookkeeper just gave her the book because she keeps borrowing that book so many times that the bookkeeper just said, you know what, if you like it so much, then you can have it.
Oh yeah, she's lucky.
I thought
one of my all-time favorite Disney villains.
Of course, yes.
I mean, he's not my absolute favorite. That would be Frollo, but Gaston is probably the most fun.
I gotta say, that last bit earlier, I was thinking, oh no, we're never gonna get my most anticipated Beauty and the Beast sequel. A really fine day was just to spend the whole movie trying to pay the fine for the library book.
Speaking of the remake, while Gaston in the remake is not bad by any means, he cannot hold a candle to OG Gaston.
Okay.
Cannot.
Like I mentioned, I think part of the issue with live-action Gaston was that they tried to tone down some of his extremities, shall we say, to sort of, I guess, make him seem more charismatic. Again, they also simultaneously made him more insane in that version, so part of the time I have no idea what they were thinking with it. Now, mind you, I still did like him overall, despite how weak his defeat was, but nah, this Gaston here is pretty good. See, this is the sort of Gaston where you can tell he's a jerk, but what makes him part of a compelling villain is the charisma that he commands, which is what makes him an effective villain. And also, in a sense, you can see how he might see himself as the hero of the story.
Also, Gaston, I think you gotta get in line.
Yes, no one dodges lines like Gaston.
Pretty much.
By the way, as a bit of foreshadowing, I actually have I have a very, very particular thing that I'm passionate about bringing up later in the movie. Something that I learned about watching the Cinema Therapy YouTube channel. That I will bring up later.
You know, it's funny that of all the Disney Renaissance video games, it was the Beauty and the Beast one, well, specifically the Belle side of things, that actually did give some interesting dialogue that actually expanded on the characters here.
Mm-hmm.
As we covered in our commentary.
That wasn't a compliment, mate. See, this all came out in 1991.
Yes. In fact, this was the year that in fact, this movie is just as old as my brother is.
Really?
Yes, my brother was born this year too.
I wonder what other films it was competing against in that specific time frame. Alright, so what was it competing against? Oh, quite the smorgasbord, actually.
Mm-hmm.
It was against the Addams Family.
Mm-hmm.
An American Tail, Fever Goes West.
Five-O, actually.
That's how I read it. The Double Life of Veronique and For the Boys.
All right. Then.
I've seen Addams Family and Five-O Goes West, not those other ones.
This is, of course, by far the best movie of the Disney Renaissance. It's not my personal favorite, but of all the movies that Disney delivered back in the 90s, this is the most well-rounded. It's the best written. I will argue Hunchback is probably better animation, but it's the overall best well-rounded and well-made movie of all of the 90s movies.
I do wonder, like, for a lot of the Renaissance films, except for Pocahontas, because, yeah, Pocahontas is that one Renaissance film that everyone kind of agrees we treat that one like a, the night that the Disney Renaissance got drunk. I mean, it was still a successful movie, but it has issues.
But Jehovah, Jeffrey Katzenberg was absolutely sure that that movie was going to get them the Best Picture award.
I still remember how Disney thought, Lion King will just be our little tiny side project, and Pocahontas will be our big one. I'm sorry, which movie was it that ended up being the highest grossing movie for, over a decade?
It's a classic case of filmmakers getting too overly confident and start getting delusional.
Okay, this is one thing that the live action movie did improve on. Maurice wants to go down the clearly evil path because it's a shortcut.
So the movie screenplay was written for the first time by Linda Wolverton.
Yep.
Linda Wolverton. She also wrote Lion King, which was great, but then she would go on to write the Maleficent movie.
I mean, she wrote Alice in Wonderland in 2010.
To be fair, didn't she also write BFG? That was fine.
No, that was someone else.
Oh, that was someone else?
Yeah. BFG was fine.
Yeah.
So I've heard. I never got around to seeing that one.
It's good, but that's just it. It's a good movie. It's fine. It's enjoyable, but it's not really something that you watch over and over.
So it's not the coming-of-age Steven Spielberg classic like, say, West Side Story is?
No. Again, there's nothing inherently wrong with it. It's just that it's not particularly great either.
So yeah, turns out going down the bad route was a bad thing.
But yeah, like I was saying, that's just it, Joe. But this is a classic, a very classic story. The filmmakers have a big success where they even get nominated for an Academy Award. They get too overconfident. They start thinking that they're the bee's knees and that they can't do any wrong. And basically, okay, now we're going to make this super amazing masterpiece that's going to revolutionize and legitimize animation as a Best Picture winner. And they completely fell flat on their face because they got way too overconfident and completely lost the ability to reflect.
I think the thing that really is just rich for me is how they pretty much disrespected the team behind Lion King. Again, treating that like that's going to be the smaller picture that nobody really cares about. And well, yeah, needless to say,
Okay.
they got their just desserts.
Okay. To be fair, that was more so. Okay, to be fair, I don't think. Okay, based on the behind-the-scenes stuff that we've seen of filmmakers' interviews years after the fact, yes, it was the B project, but I don't think. But as far as we know, there wasn't like it's not like the people working on that movie were downright looked down upon or something.
No.
It's more so.
I don't mean it that. What I mean is like, okay. You know how with Black Panther, Disney obviously shortchanged that movie on its budget because, they didn't have as much faith in it? It's a similar case with Lion King. It's not so much that they outright disrespected them, but it was clear that they weren't giving, stuff as equal respect in that regards, which can be an issue when you're playing favorites. And again, it ended up reflecting incredibly badly on them because, well, again, Lion King was Lion King and Disney's Pocahontas was Disney's Pocahontas. And mind you,
basically,
I'm not going to act like Disney's Pocahontas is this ungodly abomination that has no redeeming qualities. No. It does have some good things. There are reasons that people do remember it, and it does have its place alongside the Disney canon.
It has great music. Alan Menken and Stephen Schwartz are awesome, even in that movie.
And Pocahontas herself is not a bad character. I can certainly see why they kept her around despite, them problems.
And it does look gorgeous as well.
Zabel's dad, I know he has a name, but I keep forgetting. Maurice. There you go. So Maurice, thank you, subtitle. That's a thing. If this were in real life, Maurice would probably be dead by now.
Okay, yeah, I will admit, one thing I did like about the live-action version was that they did have the horse come back for him in that one. Yeah. I mean, and you know what? I'm not gonna act like I don't get why the horse ran off. Horses can get easily spooked like that, so I get it.
Yeah, definitely.
But it is a little nice touch that they do have the horse come back. Like, yeah, that is one reason I do appreciate the live-action version. It's trying to give you a similar experience, but a different enough one. That also does seem to address some issues you may have taken up with the original. Like a remake should.
Yeah, like Trevor was just saying, yes, if there's one thing the remake definitely does better, it's Maurice. He in here he's not as bad, it's just fine, But in the remake he actually has a lot more going on. And he has kind of a character arc as well, not to mention they actually do...
Yes. Pedro, what on earth happened to Alexander?
Alexander? Oh, right. Okay, basically everybody else. Beast is voiced by Robbie Benson, a.k.a. the voice of Alexander from King's Quest VI. Yes.
Cute.
Fun fact, Joe, this was also the year that King's Quest VI came out. So yeah, Robbie Benson had a busy year.
Good introduction of the beast. That said, I do agree. I actually do appreciate that in the live-action version, in a bout of actually taking more inspiration from the storybook, the beast has more of a reason to not like Maurice when he's clearly trying to steal one of his own roses, whereas here,
that's why it wasn't
trespassing.
That's how it was in the original fairy tale. The reason he traps Belle's father to begin with in the original fairy tale is because the father steals a rose from his bushes. Whereas in here, it's okay. To be fair, Maurice technically was trespassing, so it's not like this Maurice. So it's not like this Maurice is completely innocent either.
Well, okay. To be fair, though, he was just To be fair, in this case, Maurice was literally trying to escape the wolves that were trying to eat him. So trying to find shelter, I do feel like it's a bit harsh to mark that as trespassing, and I do get it. It is to show that the beast is a jerk. Oh.
I love Belle's face though. But, yeah. Fun fact.
Dude, you're a creep. But yeah, go on.
The special edition that we're watching was actually originally made specifically for the 2001 DVD release. That was actually that particular DVD release was my country's chance to finally dub this movie, and the Portuguese dub of this movie is a masterpiece of Portuguese dubbing. It's regarded as one of our all-time great works, dubbing movies. But that Beast is voiced by the actor who plays Goku and later Olaf in Frozen. So.
I feel like we can make a song about. I feel like we can I feel like we can make a song about being speechless.
Yeah, I'll call that song Restraining Order. Now piss off.
Like, you're weird. Get the fuck out of my house.
Remember this. This was the 18th century. There were no restraining orders back then.
Oh. I mean, as your wife or your wife makes it look like you're basically going to kidnap Belle and bring her to your wife.
Why not a woman, who's actually interested in you?
I know, right?
Like, those triplets are pretty.
Yeah, exactly. You could have your own harem. Screw Belle. Like,
you have like triplets there, like thirsting after you constantly. Like,
is it one of those cases where the most beautiful ones are the ones we can't have because I'm a dude?
I love this reprise, and Emma Watson's version is kind of deflates this.
Well, there was one pretty obvious problem in that version.
Well, okay, look. Aside from the fact that Emma Watson can't sing. Yeah, the placement of her reprise of it was also weird because it didn't fit the theme as well.
I mean, I'll give the Aladdin remake this. At the very least, the woman they got to play Jasmine can actually sing.
Yeah. Let me put it like this. I can appreciate things that movie was trying to do. But like I mentioned, it has quite a few problems. Let me put it like this. The Aladdin remake, it's in that category where I'm glad that they tried, but I wish that what they had put out was much better. Like, at least with the Beauty and the Beast remake, I can say that I was satisfied enough with what they gave. And like I said, that one actually did give proper improvements. The Aladdin one, okay, Will Smith is the best thing in that movie, bar none.
He's the best thing about that movie, but I still prefer Robin Williams.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad they at least didn't just have him try doing Robin Williams' impression at the very least.
Oh, no, definitely. It's just Will Smith did his best, but Robin still beats him. Sorry.
I feel like the major problem I had with that was just the guy they had playing Jafar. Like, look,
oh God, Jafar is so bad.
Look, the guy playing Aladdin is fine. The woman playing Jasmine is great. But Jafar, oh god.
He's so lame. But,
Yeah.
Also, Mrs. Potts is voiced by Angela Lansbury, who's
Yep.
wonderful. Yeah, here it is.
What? Well, I mean, to be fair to Belle, it's either this or be pestered by Gaston all the time.
Oh god, this might actually be preferable. Would you say Evermore?
Scary, aren't I?
You know, again, this is one thing that Disney does great, is drawing quote-unquote uglier, scary characters.
Definitely. Today, when it comes to that, Jova, Quasimodo is their greatest achievement in that regard. Like, seriously, the fact that they were able to present a character like Quasimodo, still keep him this big, and still make him still, very easily presentable to a wide audience. That is brilliant character design right there.
Mm-hmm. That's like a messed up version of Cinderella's carriage.
Yeah. Probably Cinderella Free took cues from this. Fun fact. Okay, so Cogsworth. In my country, he's just called Clock. Why? Because the word cogs, I know that Cogsworth is a pun, I get that. The problem is, the word cogs in Portuguese sounds and writes completely differently, so obviously the pun wouldn't work.
Don't
so
tell
we decided
me.
to just...
It ends up being a euphemism for genitals, like in Italy.
No. It's just that the word, it's just that trying to force a cock pun in Portuguese just doesn't work. Because the word is written completely different, pronounced completely different. It literally, the pun just doesn't work in my language. It just doesn't work. So they just default to, okay, we'll just call him Clock. Whatever.
Okay. Ah, such great castle architecture. If you want to scare the absolute piss out of your visitors.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, he kind of does. Fuck them. It's a Disney movie, can't say that. Okay.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, don't watch The West Wing.
Okay, attention
Okay,
to
okay.
everyone,
Look at this.
especially parents who tell their kids not to go to a certain place. Maybe try and explain why they shouldn't go there, otherwise that really just makes them all the more
Yeah.
curious to go there.
You'll end up with little Nemo.
That's what I was going to say. It's like, just tell her there's something personal in there that's your business, that's...
And knowing Belle, she probably would respect that.
Yeah.
Oh boy. It was a nice springtime, now suddenly it's winter. What the heck's going on here? I mean, you just got rejected and thrown into the mud. As you deserved, but I'm sure you'll be able to walk this off.
Also, such a waste of beer. Okay, so we got Gaston's lackey. What's his name?
LeFou.
LeFou.
Okay, I don't want to go too much into general with it, but I will admit, I never got... Well, okay, I got why they made him gay in the live-action movie, but I don't know. Making him gay just felt like the typical bout of, hey, a guy can't have another guy admire or be his best friend without him being gay.
Well, that's the thing. Like, even in this movie, like, you never see him show any interest in a man. Like, it's always the women he's luring after. I feel like Disney's just trying to meet a quota because, like, every few years they keep saying, "Oh, this is the first gay character we've had in a movie," as if we don't remember the last 10 they've had.
I know, right?
They keep saying it every few years. It's like we do pay attention, you know.
Like, and they keep getting called out for it every time. I don't get why they think they'll get away with it.
Like, it's become a joke within the community as well.
Yeah. Hey, biting's dirty.
Maybe someone's kinky for you.
Hey, if there's no rules in the fight, then fight dirty.
Yeah,
Dang.
yeah. There was no rule that said, okay, you said no biting. You didn't say I could. You didn't say I couldn't nibble. Wait, who gave 9.8? Wonder what they docked 0.2 points for.
He didn't get an absolute bullseye, I guess.
So yeah, in keeping, they actually got an actual.
Please don't
opera
shoot in the
singer.
pub.
They got an actual opera singer to voice Gaston.
Sorry, what was that, Dibs?
So they got an actual opera singer to voice Gaston in this film.
Yeah.
Nice.
We did the same thing for our dub of Hunchback. We got an opera singer to voice Frollo.
I will admit.
You know what's strange about this?
What?
I feel like this would have been something that was rumored throughout the town, but no, like, this is almost like the first time they're hearing about this.
Yeah, this is one thing I do appreciate the live-action movie did address, was that there was actually an enchantment placed around the castle that made people completely forget about the beast and whatnot, and they even addressed that some citizens actually did have relatives who were castle staff as well. Whereas here, yeah, it is weird that there would be no rumors of that whatsoever. Also, I will admit, it was kind of an interesting change that they did have Gaston and LeFou initially try and help out Maurice as well, to try and get Maurice's favor for marrying Belle.
I love
Right.
how Gaston literally says that, agrees that thinking is dangerous.
I love a bit earlier. It's like, don't worry, we'll help you out, and they tossed him out. Gaston might as well buy this pub at this rate.
You know, it's
Everyone
funny,
loves him.
they
Everyone in here loves him anyway.
again, funnily enough, in the live-action version, they do imply that LeFou has to pay for Gaston's shenanigans, and to get everyone to sing with him, too.
Everyone's too drunk.
Yeah.
So we got the late Rex Everhart voicing Maurice in this film.
Is it weird to be drinking out of a kid like that?
Also, does the hole in his head hurt him?
I wonder, how did he get that chip?
I mean, if Angela Lansbury says it's going to be fine, then it probably is going to be fine.
Ah, Angela Lansbury. Again, top-notch casting.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was wasn't it at this point she was also in Murder She Wrote at the same time.
Because you're a piece of work?
I mean, I can't imagine why she's not absolutely rushing down to have dinner with the guy who held her father captive and then took her captive. Dude, there are so many people who
better
are
than your
into
human
it.
self.
And there are so many people who are into it. Hell, going off of the House of Mouse, Cruella de Vil was into him. Though that was partially because she also wanted to make a coat from him, but no, she was totally into him.
And again, like, do you have any idea how big of a part Disney played in birthing furries?
Hell, even before that, there were arguably even furries in ye old days, too. And have you seen how the Greeks were? Especially given the many people Zeus managed to bed with his many different forms, a lot of which were animals. Oh wow, you're an
Yeah, you do
amazing
that.
house guest.
Attempt.
That look.
That's one. This reaction where you
Again, not for nothing, my dude, but, again, it might take some time for the girl who you effectively kidnapped to like you. Wow, the sexual exploits of a candelabra and a feather duster.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if this movie awake, people say that Lion King was the big furry progenitor, but this movie may have gone beyond just the furries on certain stuff.
The thing is, it wasn't Lion King. I hear it for a lot of people. It was actually Robin Hood.
Oh, the classic.
We'll never break the splendid. What's wrong with you people? Yeah. Yeah, that'd be rude.
Considering how social everyone else seems to be, what's the Beast's excuse?
Well, that's the thing, Shirai. He, of all people, took it worse because he was the youngest. Remember, they specifically said that the Rose would die in his 21st birthday, meaning, since it's been implied that it's been a few years by the prologue, that means he was probably like 15, 16 when it first started. So him being turned into, he was still an immature teenager who didn't handle it well, basically. Whereas all the other servants, they're all adults.
And to be fair, while he has had good company, I do get the feeling that being essentially a prisoner of your own castle may take a toll on your psyche. Unless you're an introvert, in which case that would probably be heaven.
Also, I like how that one line implies that in France, all the inanimate objects just talk.
Well, to be fair, there are inanimate objects that don't talk in this movie. So,
which is weird. Like, it's
like
kind of... No, well, it's not just that. So we got inanimate objects that do move but don't talk. Like, are they just less fortunate castle staff, or...
Don't think about it.
Okay, it's not to the same level of disturbing, but it is kind of in the similar vein of the whole Pluto and Goofy thing. Or the fact that Minnie Mouse was scared by, of all things, a mouse. This also does imply that the servants do, of course, miss their own lives for various reasons here and there. Salty.
Oh, 10 years. Wait, so the prince was very young then.
Let's see. 21st birthday. Wait. That would imply he was 11 back when he got turned into a beast. Which, fair and fine, except that, the stained glass window suggested more of a teenager thing at youngest.
So the 18th century. Back then, society was in a much more primitive place.
Which, again, kind of does make the witch of this movie a dick. Like, yeah, I get it. The kid may be a bit spoiled, but he's a kid. You effectively...
Remember, Java, 11-year-olds at the time were expected to be a lot more mature than they are currently because they had to grow up much sooner than. Because remember, for example, if his or her parent, if his parents died, that boy is going to be crowned king right now, regardless of how old or if he's even prepared for it.
Oh yeah, again, this is just one of those things where you have to go with it for the sake of the tale, and there's no point, saying this because yes, if it didn't happen, we wouldn't have a story. It still is pretty messed up, though, and then when you get down to it, we already dissected why it's even more messed up in the live-action version, because arguably, the prince was actually more, accepting of people of different diversities here and there. And yet he's the one who gets punished. And not to mention the fact that in the live action version, the witch literally took one of his own roses to offer for him. That's like some crook stealing your car and offering it to you so that you'll give him a place inside. Like, yeah.
And hell, even you, as Java also mentioned when we did the remake, that that for that time period is quite weird to see such acceptance right there.
Wait, good for the Beast, but again, how is he supposed to get a lesson when he was arguably more accepting than a lot of other people of that age?
I guess the lesson is that never be mean to anybody ever.
No matter the reason, even if they take your own property and offer it to you. Again, it is such a weird thing done. But no harm or foul overall. Are even the suits of armor people? I know I shouldn't be asking this, but when they constantly animate this stuff like that, it does make you wonder. Although, if they are people, then in the games, Beast was murdering them. Hey, maybe we shouldn't have brought her close to the West Wing if we didn't want her to go there.
No, the West
Just
Wing's
tell
that
her.
smoking show.
Like,
That's the thing, Shiro. I remember they were ordered not to speak of her about because it's Beast's. Okay, to be fair, it's Beast's private room.
that's what they could just say, though. They don't have to say exactly what's in there.
This is actually one of those cases where I'm actually going to say that Belle is in the wrong here because look, you're trespassing into the Beast's private room and messing with his things. Did you really expect that he wouldn't get mad at you for it?
Oh, wow.
No, I agree, but at the same time, I do also agree with Jova that she'd likely not go in there if they just told her, hey, this is private.
Like, again, he just says, don't go into the West Wing with no elaboration of any sort whatsoever, or a hint that, hey, there's actually a good reason why. He literally just says, oh, it's just forbidden because it's forbidden.
Well, to be fair, it's his castle. I mean, he's the owner of that castle. If he says it's not allowed, period, well, the reason is irrelevant. You're not allowed there, period.
Now, granted, I guess we do have to factor in the fact that, again, he is kidnapping her, so maybe
So
she
fuck his
doesn't have
feelings?
the most respect for his feelings. All the same, though,
All that. Don't worry, sure. I'll talk about that later. Go on, Joe.
that said, all the same, yeah, this probably would have been... God, that is creepy.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, the common joke is that the Beast looks prettier as a beast.
Yeah.
It's like that one time when Hunchback of Notre Dame 2 where they tried to show Quasimodo what he would look like as a proper beautiful human. Yeah, regular Quasi looks way, way creepier than
disfigured
ugly
Quasi. Yeah. The correct word I will say is disfigured.
Okay, so I think if he's not careful, he's going to turn into another King's Quest character.
Which one?
Mananan, the one who keeps getting crazy.
Oh, man. Yeah, notice how, that being said, that's a moment right there that we just saw that I don't see enough people point it out. Notice how right after he cools off a bit, he immediately regrets what he just did.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like he's completely off his rocker or anything like that. No, it's just that
Yeah.
he saw her in his private chambers. He got pissed, because he told her not to come in here. But then after he realized that he probably shouldn't have started breaking things, he makes a face palm. Oh crap!
And,
He's also about to save her, I believe, right?
yes.
Yeah.
And we do also learn later that if anything bad happens to that Rose, he effectively dies. So
I mean, we as the audience know that from the get-go, but she doesn't.
yeah, again. So, so Beast does have a reason. Also, Belle, you have amazing dexterity to have not gone into shock from the instant fall into the cold water there. Dang, these wolves are persistent.
The only wolves, the only dog-like feral creatures I've seen that are more ruthless than this were the ones in Moonraker.
Moonraker. Oh yeah, that's the Bond film.
Mm-hmm.
Impeccable timing.
I'm sure. I'm sure looking forward to the video games turning this into a tedious slog of a level.
Imagine.
More in the SNES one because this is the bit. Okay, so I would like to talk about one of the things that people like to accuse this movie of because we didn't cover this properly when we did the remake, so this is my chance to correct that. Okay, so here's the idea. A lot of people like to say, again, this is a criticism that always gets thrown at the original fairy tale, that it's an unhealthy relationship because Belle falls in love with her captor. Here's the
Stockholm
thing
syndrome.
Yeah, Stockholm syndrome. That's the thing, Shiro. According to the medical definition, because the guys from cinema therapy bring this up, Shiro. But believe it or not, Shiro, the whole falling in love with the captor thing, that's actually a pop culture thing. Because the actual medical definition is feeling sympathetic towards, not necessarily in love. But aside from that.
Now, I know what some people may bring
But I know
up.
I brought it up because that's the term people use when describing this relationship.
Oh, I get that, Shiro. I'm just trying to explain that medically that's not the correct definition. It's just that people the populace kind of twist the definition a bit. That's basically my point.
Yeah.
Okay, so I do get why there's this misconception. It's that a lot of adaptations end up portraying it like Stockholm Syndrome. But I do feel like when it comes to the particular Disney version, there is sadly a reason people do consider this Stockholm Syndrome. It's not necessarily because of this movie directly, but because of what one of the sequels does, which kind of turns it into the I can fix him bout.
Yeah. Okay, that being said, speaking strictly of this specific movie, okay, here's the thing people don't realize. Okay, if Belle fell in love with the Beast just because he saved her right now, then that argument would actually have lens to stand on. Here's the thing, though. Belle didn't fall in love with the Beast right now, as of right now. In fact, Belle doesn't even fall in love with the Beast until like the end of the movie.
Yeah.
So technically, that even by the twisted popular definition that I just established, even by that definition, technically it doesn't work that way because even after the Beast falls in love with her, she still only sees him as a friend, and that's literally it. So technically, it doesn't fall into the Stockholm Syndrome category because, and you'll notice also that Belle doesn't even. Belle, when she realizes that that she's maybe in trouble or anything, she actually runs away and even breaks her promise. So it's not like the Beast's words of "stay here" hold any power over her. She was perfect. She had the balls to actually just leave and go away. So it's not like she's trapped here by the Beast's words. Like as in like she had the mental fortitude to leave him after because shit happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
Also, the reason she helped him back there isn't because she fell in love with him. It's because she'd know she'd feel terrible if she left him to die.
Exactly. And you know what? You know what the guys from Cinema Therapy brought up as well, Shiroi? She would do this. She did this just because he saved her, like you said. But that's because Belle is a good person. Even if it was Gaston saving her from the wolves, she would still help him just because she's a good person.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not. So yeah, the Stockholm syndrome is a problem in the original fairy tale, not in this version though. This is something that we didn't correctly address in the remake commentary, so this is my chance to bring this up.
Oh,
We kind of glossed over it when we did the remake, but we didn't talk about it properly.
Mm-hmm.
Oh god, the Beast is acting like that excited little 12-year-old who wants to show his parent his new project. It's adorable.
Hang on, I'll put it on the fridge.
Hey, I can't wait for them to make a level that makes absolutely no sense out of this place. Actually, now that I think about it, this actually comes before the snowball fight, but in the game, the snowball fight comes before the library. What the heck?
It's the library. Can't wait till we have a level with giant books in it.
I literally just made that joke, but yeah, seriously though.
Oh, it is? Oh, sorry.
That's the thing. The library here comes before the snowball fight, but in the games, the snowball fight comes before the library. What the heck?
Because we don't know what we're doing. All right, speaking of that, here's something there.
Oatmeal? Manners maketh man.
Yep.
So the Beast was the one who founded the Kingsmen.
You know what? That would actually be a pretty cool origin. And hey, since Disney now own that film series, they could make it happen.
How will we make it make sense with the King's Man, though?
Oh,
Also, Mrs. Potsy's trying his best.
There you go. There you go. That works. All right. I have a really cool feature to bring up about this, a particular bit from this song. I'll point it out when we get to it.
Oh, look, the Beast is learning to love again.
Well, in this case, it's just learning how to be nice to birds.
It's the first step.
All right. Pay attention to how Pedro Harris sounds in this particular verse. Yeah, did you notice how she really raised her pitch for that particular verse? Okay, here's why. In the original take, when they were recording the song, Paige was, of course, singing the way she usually always sings, right? At that point, Howard Ashman, because of his sickness, at that point only had to could participate in the recording session via telephone, so he could even barely speak at that point. So what happened was, after she sang "New and a Bit Alarming," Howard Ashman wanted to give some direction to Paige O'Hara, specifically, and everybody had to be quiet. Shh. What is it, Howard? And Howard says, and I quote, "Tell Paige Streisand." And then Alan's like, he said Streisand, and everybody in the studio went, "Oh, no, yeah. And that's why Pedro has because Howard Ashman had the idea of her delivering that verse like Barbra Streisand would.
I like how the way you said that made it sound like he was saying this on his deathbed.
He kind of was, Shiroi. Remember, he was so sick by the. Basically, Shiroi. After Howard Ashman and Alan Menken, this is one of a set of stories I can tell, but I'll tell you right now, Shiroi. After Howard Ashman and Alan Menken won the Oscar for Best Score and Best Song for The Little Mermaid, Howard Ashman told Alan, I really want to talk to you. It's very important, okay? Go ahead, say, not now. Later when we're in private, okay? So later, Howard Ashman turned to Alan and was all like, well, know what? I'm sick. I'm HIV positive.
Oh dear.
So basically, Shiroi, by the time they were working on Beauty and the Beast,
he was dying.
Yeah, and but Howard wanted to keep working as long as he had strength. which is why he was participating over the phone, basically.
See, I didn't know that, so that wasn't a joke about that for the record. I legit didn't know
sure.
that.
It really just showed the amount of labor that went into it. And speaking of amount of labor, yeah, you've all been thinking about it. Let's cover the ballroom scene. But yes, if there's one thing everyone talks about, it is this grand merging of 2D animation and 3D animation. This is definitely one thing the Disney Renaissance excelled at, was using CGI to its absolute strengths to the point where it arguably still looks good. And trust me, CGI can get dated. That's the name of the movie. There you go. Now go, Pedro.
Thank you. Yeah, that snowball fight was fun. You should be ashamed of a certain Super Nintendo video game turning out in one of the worst levels ever made for a video game.
Okay. It's a bit of a
This is gonna keep going, and it's great.
Okay. This is a bit of a tiny tidbit. One thing I did like in the live-action version... Okay, in this version, the snowball fight pretty much goes all Belle's favor. I do like how Beast actually does get in a few hits on the snowball fight. It's a tiny detail, but one that I enjoy enough.
Yep.
That's it, though. Again, I have never seen any version that has Human Again play at this part of the movie. Only at the end. Well, after stuff gets fixed.
No. Well, trust me, Jova. I'm literally watching the special edition Blu-ray right now, so I can confirm to you right here. Human Again takes place during that bit where I got confused. It's not at the end of the movie, naturally. It takes place... okay, I haven't ever seen the Broadway play, which is for which the song was made up for. Because it was, okay, for those who don't know what Human Again is, it was originally going to be the song that was deleted from the original film. But Alan Menken later changed the lyrics to adapt it to actually make it work for the Broadway musical. And later when they made the 2001 special edition, they decided, okay, we can go back and rework the movie and insert Human Again into it.
As far as I know, Human Again only now plays, when they're all turning human again.
Well, right now, what they do is on Disney Plus. Apparently, you can watch the theatrical version, and the Human Again sequences there in the special bonus features on the Disney Plus thingy. I don't know how it is on the 4K Blu-ray. Probably the same thing though. But yeah, notice this bit here as well. Yeah, take it with you.
Don't drop it. Cost me a fortune.
Although, believe it or not, Human Again is apparently something of a controversial song for Disney in that regard.
It's because a lot of Disney fans don't particularly care for its inclusion in the animated film. They think it just kind of sticks out because the animation was done 10 years later, and it doesn't look quite the same, so it kind of sticks out.
Not only that, even Disney personnel are controversial in that song. Believe it or not, back when it was originally written and storyboarded, that was going to be initially 11 minutes long.
That being said, I'll still take Human Again over Morning Report.
Yeah, Morning Report was just pretty unnecessary.
Yeah, completely unnecessary. Nope, that's not how it is. Yeah, there you go. She has to love him in return. See, that's how Disney fixed the Stockholm Syndrome problem by making it so that Belle never falls in love with Beast as this captor. Now the Beast is no longer his captor because he just freed her. Meaning, Belle never at any point in this story fell in love with her captor. At any point. Because when she does fall in love with him, he's no longer her captor.
You know, it makes me wonder if they specifically made that way just so that they could avoid that chestnut.
And I have hypothermia.
If you're not starving already, jeez. Like, okay.
I think it was only like a day or two.
Here's hoping.
It's one of basically, to conclude, it's one of those cases where people who accuse this movie of glorifying Stockholm Syndrome are not quite paying attention to the nuances of how the story is told.
Again, unless you consider, like, all 3 films as part of the story, in which case...
Well, yeah, I forgot about those 2 sequels. I usually like to pretend they don't exist.
Okay, like, Belle's, God, the one that was
essentially world.
No. I'm talking about the one that's basically glorified TV pilots for a show that wasn't even good to end up getting made in the first place. Like, that one was, yeah, it's arguably the worst. Oh, yeah, so hey to
is that the one that has that Belle's face that became a meme?
Yes.
Okay.
Also, hi again, Tony J.
Oh God, I love you, Tony J.
Honestly, one of my favorite Tony J roles was that small bit he had in Recess Schools Out, where he went out of his element and played the wimpy scientist.
Yeah. Also, Dwebs, that makes 2 King's Quest 6 actors: Robbie Benson and Tony J.
Huh.
Cool.
You know, when you
Tony
get down
J
to
Tony J was also the narrator in the Disney dub of Nausicaa.
Yep.
You know, when you get down to it, actually, Beauty and the Beast could be a stand-in for a King's Quest plot.
Oh, yeah. It's apparently, well, remember, Jova, the one of the many fairy tale storylines you find in King's Quest 6 is Beauty and the Beast. So, yeah. Not to mention, Jova, remember, it was King's Quest 7 that went full-blown 90s Disney Renaissance on us. So... Oh yeah, there's one more line here that I want to point out. He's my friend. See? Not lover, friend, right now.
This is where we show how effective Gaston can be as a villain. Because the town sees him as, like, the hero, he is very good at commanding their respect and turning a situation on a dime in his favor.
Yep.
Which is, again, one of the reasons I kind of had a bit of an issue with him being a bit of a more apparent nut job in the live-action version, because it makes suddenly him steering the town in his favor a little bit more questionable in that regard.
Yep. Basically, everybody, I recommend for this kind of things that I've talked about over here. I recommend watching the Cinema Therapy YouTube channel, which is a channel where a therapist reacts and talks about movies and their psychological implications and all that good stuff. He's done a lot of Disney movies, and he took advantage of when he did this movie to explain why people are wrong about the whole Stockholm Syndrome thing with this movie, and that's where I got the information from.
Yeah, you better not be thinking while you're right near the castle, otherwise the beast will hear you coming.
Mm.
Also, is this meant to be like a surprise attack?
You know what's interesting in the live-action version?
Well, got the torches on.
It's funny, in this version it's only the men going after the beast, but in the live-action version they actually had the men and women going to kill the beast, which makes me wonder who was looking after the kids while they were off doing that tomfoolery.
Hey! Women are allowed to take part in angry mobs too.
Oh yes, and I'm fine with it. Like, hell, have you heard about the French Revolutions? Everyone was in on that bloodshed.
Hey, Shirai.
Yeah.
To the point where they apparently executed the guy who ordered all the executions.
Yeah.
Hey, Shirai, you know who Susan B. Anthony was, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I can imagine Susan B. Anthony say, "No, I have the right to take my pitchfork and kill things too."
Exactly.
Also, I like how they are literally singing a line that's like, "Yeah, we just hate what we don't understand. It's fine."
Yeah, it's like in the Batman Begins.
Sure.
What you don't understand.
Sure. It's like Sarah's dad sings. Basically, sure. There's I forgot if it's the 9th or the 10th movie, one of those. Basically, sure, there's a song in one of the Land Before Time movies where they're singing about some kind of new creature that they haven't realized before. And there's one line where Sarah's father sings, and I quote, "And everything that's different is dangerous."
Yeah.
Hey Dwibs, that lyric, 50 Frenchmen can't be wrong. Do you and Englishmen have anything to say about that?
Well, it depends. How many of those Frenchmen were convicted of a crime and got beheaded for it in the French Revolution?
Basically, Shiroi, right now, us the guys were commentating on a Yu-Gi-Oh game that's based on the Wars of the Roses. You know that, right?
Yep.
Yugi is Henry Tudor, or 87 if you prefer.
Not
So
Henry
there
VIII.
you go, Shiroi. You know how Henry VII was of Welsh descent. So there you go, Shiroi. In this version of this, in the version of this game, Yugi is of Welsh descendants. There you go.
Oh my god, that chest literally ate that guy.
All right, logic of Tom and Jerry cartoons, don't fail me now.
It's a fancy invention. It's bound to work.
Just move away from the door.
Yeah, otherwise that would have been a gruesome end for Belle and her father.
Yeah, imagine that's how it ended.
Hey, Wilhelm scream.
Burn them with hot tea.
I love how they don't even show what happened to the man.
I mean, he probably got burned.
Right, sure.
I mean,
How would you like it if you had a talking talking teacups and a talking teapot?
It would be a bit weird drinking out of the teacups, if I'm going to be honest.
Well, but okay. But what if the teapot has the voice of Angela Lansbury, though?
That would be nice in the mornings.
Yeah.
Also, like, if you've ever had even a speck of
look at
boiling
that. Yeah.
water,
I
hit
talk
your
about
arm
that
or
bit?
whatever, then you know that
okay.
they've just had their faces melted off.
Can I talk about what just happened, please?
That man
Yeah.
was literally plucking the woman of her feathers.
Yes. Remember, Shiwei, that little feather duster used to be a woman before she got turned
crap!
into
That was some sexual harassment right
So
there.
that guy literally was right now picking her up, looking at her bottom, and plucking her feathers from it. That was, G-rated sexual harassment right there.
Well, hey. And what
we could get away with it because she's a broom.
and wait. And what happened to him? He literally got his bottom torched.
Don't harass women or you'll be set on fire? Question mark.
I mean, personally, I don't have a problem with that moral.
No, neither do I. But
basically, this is another thing. The beast has now become the ultimate simp. Since the woman of his life has left, he doesn't even have the will to live anymore. He doesn't even care if Gaston kills him.
Really does make you wonder who the actual monster is now at this point. Which is actually the great
the
bout
Watches
of this climax.
So what you're saying, Jove, is that this is a tale of a man and a monster.
And now that the love of his life is back, he has the energy. He is a simp.
Yes.
Yeah, for those who don't know, the reason Belle shows, the reason Belle has a cameo in Hunchback of Notre Dame is because that movie was written and directed by the same people who wrote and directed this movie.
Oh, wait,
Basically,
she does
both this
have a
movie and
cameo
Hunchback
in
are their
that?
own. Yeah, she does. During Quasimodo's "I Want" song. If you pay attention to the background, you can see Belle reading her book during the Belle song number.
It's fitting because they're both in France.
Yeah, that's what I said earlier, Jova. The fact that both these movies take place at the same time, just in different parts of France, confirms that this is the 18th century.
It does make one wonder what they were doing in that time.
I don't think you understand what the word no means, sir.
And he turns into a coward.
Nah, he's playing up an act.
It's basic psychology. Anyone who acts the way Gaston is because they're secretly very insecure and cowardly.
Yeah.
But you turn your back on Gaston. He's behind you. Yep.
You didn't think this through, did you?
Nope.
No.
I mean, granted.
That YouTube poop I told you about. Basically, there was an alternate ending of that where the beast does kill him by letting him fall to his death, and as he falls, Gaston says, "No one dies like Gaston."
Granted, okay, it's still better than his death in the live-action version where he dies because he was standing on some crumbling bridge like a moron.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
If we press the fast forward button right now, it would be just like the way this ending is portrayed in the Super Nintendo game.
I've been stabbed.
No, you'll
Oh,
be
it's
alright.
fine. It's a flesh wound.
It's not like he stabbed you in the heart.
And just like that, the last rose.
Wow, it's a good thing Belle said it literally at the very last second. One more second, and the beast would have stayed dead.
It's funny because in the live-action version, that's kind of what happens. He only lives because the witch decides to come in and suddenly revive the rose so that, oh, now you've got a little bit of extra time.
Oh, great! Now it's raining rainbows.
Or fireworks.
God,
Oh
Aurora
god!
Borealis.
Oh my god, God's taking him!
Okay, allow me to. God is pleased with you, beast. You have done what you have accomplished your task.
Now enjoy these Disney fireworks as we convert you back.
And we also heal your death wound. Why not? Might as well.
Yeah, because yeah.
Also, he's throwing light. He's throwing key energy from his fingers or some shit like.
And his toes.
Yeah, it's like he's a perpetual energy machine.
You know, I feel like I've seen this particular animation for this character in another Disney movie as well somewhere.
Okay, let's make the obvious joke from when he turns it around.
Yeah.
But I also want to point something out about that after we make that joke.
Disney reuses a lot of animation.
I know. I feel
But
like
can you blame them? This shit takes forever.
Ah.
Ah! How much Botox have you inhaled?
I think
So,
I preferred you as a beast. Could you turn back?
Yeah, look at her face.
It's interesting about the remake kind of makes a joke about that.
When she asked him
Emma
maybe he could grow a beard.
Have you ever thought of growing a beard?
That is one thing that
We're getting some chest hair,
I don't know if they intentionally did that, but it's kind of a thing in the live action remake where
So basically, live action Belle likes some hairy.
Oh,
Well,
oh,
hey, nothing wrong with that. But
See, it is like Life is Strange.
and then they have good chemistry, but I don't think it was that electrifying.
I don't know, Shiroi. Like, it's more like rain than natural aurora borealis.
Still, though, it's colorful.
And there's Robbie Benson's actual voice.
That reminds me. Actually, that's a good segue to it. Allow me. You know what's interesting about Beast's performance? Okay. All right. Did you remember earlier doing something there where he was singing in his mind about the whole "she's never looked at me that way before" thing? Okay. So here's an interesting creative choice that the Portuguese dub did. What we did is we have the actor still do his beastly type voice when he's talking, but when he's singing in his thoughts, the actor uses human beast's voice.
Huh.
So that's actually a pretty cool idea, because deep inside he's still he's still human. He's just a beast on the outside, So it's actually a cool decision on their part, I will argue.
I didn't notice that. That's pretty cool.
Well, I'll show you after this if you want. But basically that.
Yeah, sure, they'll be in many great sequels.
Well, the sequels are more interquels than actual sequels, to be fair.
Well, the Christmas one's weird. It's both an interquel, but also a sequel, since technically it does take place after this movie, but a lot of it is shown via flashback.
And if you look, and if you peek over the balcony, you can see Gaston's corpse.
Hey, wait a minute. Actually,
impaled on the roof.
Actually, Belle, now that I mention about it, wasn't there that weird encounter we had with my old conductor who became a crazed organ that tried to kill us all? Castle sure cleaned itself up after that.
And he was voiced by Tim Curry for some reason.
Which, let's be fair, Tim Curry was the best thing in that movie.
Well, obviously. But you know what's also the interesting thing about that, Shiroi? It's not just the thoughts thing. The happier and nicer the beast gets over the course of the movie, the softer the actor's performance gets.
Fitting.
I like that.
So they actually did do some genuine creative thinking about how they could do something that this movie didn't, that the original version didn't do.
This is honestly part of why the Disney Renaissance is arguably my favorite, and one I would argue might be where Disney were at their best. Part of it was because they had to be at their best. As you recall, the previous era was their dark era, where they were kind of tail spinning and all that. No pun intended. So no. They went all out, and a lot of their movies in the Renaissance era, actually no, all their movies in the Renaissance era had all these extra attentions to detail. That's not to say that, Disney movies beforehand had never done stuff like this before. It's just that with the Renaissance, you can tell that they were going the hardest. Now, I'm not going to act like we don't still get good animated films. In fact, I'd argue animated stuff is still Disney's best export here and there, with all the little details and stuff they give. But I'd say the Renaissance is where it became pretty much by law that an animated Disney flick needs to have all these cool details that, makes it a Disney animated feature. There is a good reason that Disney pretty much cornered the market on animated features. And while, yes, some of that has to do with some underhanded business tactics, a lot of it does still have to do with the fact that this output was amazing. Nothing short of incredible. Hell, and again, even at its lowest with Pocahontas, it did still get the bragging rights of animation and good songs, which Yeah, that's kind of what you first think of with a Disney good movie.
Mm-hmm.
So, shall we get to the final thoughts?
Yeah,
Alright.
sure.
Go ahead, Liz.
Yeah. It's a really very good movie. And yeah, pretty good animation, especially for its time. 1991, and Disney did a really good job upscaling it for Blu-ray because typically when you're upscaling a movie to be in a bigger aspect ratio than it was, if you're not careful, it could end up looking really stretched. Whereas, but here, but then again, yeah, it's Disney we're talking about. They're normally really good at upscaling him. Well, here we are. I mean, there's not really much I can say about it. I mean, we've already talked about it more in depth while we were talking about it. It's really good, and if I'm going to compare it to the remake, the remake does have its strengths, but overall, I think the original's a more better, well-rounded product, mainly due to the singing. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
musical. You kind of have to have good singing, and if you have to rely on auto-tune, then you're probably not doing a good job being a musical.
And it's especially
Anything-
jarring when you know
anything-
that's one of your main actors.
The only thing worse than that is if you don't even bother even with that, and you just have them do awful singing. But thankfully this film doesn't do that. And okay, it's not my favorite one of the Renaissance. That's still The Lion King.
Same.
But it's a good film nonetheless.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, done.
Pedro.
Yeah, it's like everybody else already said, it's a masterpiece, and it's just like so brilliantly constructed. The outdated aspects of the fairy tale are handled very well. The character arcs are all very perfectly constructed. The songs are fantastic. The score is great. The animation is really great. It's just an overall pretty much spotless film that is indeed for me the best of the Disney Renaissance, because it's just the one that overall has the best. Like there's not really any major fault that you can throw at it. Whereas all of the other Disney Renaissance movies, I can always throw at the very least one major problem that I can find. Whereas in this one's armor is basically unbreakable.
It does have some chinks in it that I saw, but they're minor. I mean, again, that's like. It's like the Disney Renaissance as a whole, except for Pocahontas.
Yeah, that's the elephant in the room.
Yeah. Anything else?
Not really. Like Dib said, and there's not that much I can say that hasn't already been said a million times.
I guess I'll ask you this question then. Are you pleased that this version on Disney Plus apparently omits a human again?
That's actually a good point. I never got around to voicing that point. Okay. The answer you're looking for, Jova, is yes, kind of. Now, what do I mean with kind of? Let me explain. Okay, when it comes to Lion King's special edition and the Morning Report edition, that's fine, because on Disney Plus and on the Blu-ray, you can find the original theatrical version as it was originally shown in 1994. Fine. Here's the problem, though. When it came back to bringing back the theatrical version of Beauty and the Beast for the remake in Disney Plus, unfortunately, they didn't do that. Instead of going back to the original master of the theatrical version, what they did for this version is they just took the special edition and they just cut out via editing the Human Again segment. And you can tell, because if you watch a Laserdisc copy or something of the original theatrical version or a VHS copy, and compare both of them back to back, you can tell where the cut is. So and yeah, when you do see it, you cannot unsee it. It is a shame that for whatever reason they couldn't just bring back and just do what they did with the Lion King and just go back to the original master for some reason. I mean, it's a 1991 movie. You can't tell me that you lost the original master. That would be ridiculous.
I guess, to be fair, as someone who does own a VHS copy of Beauty and the Beast, I didn't really notice any cuts that looked out of place. Shiroy, Dwibs, did you guys notice any?
Well, I don't know. Trust me, Jova. You're not going to notice it unless you're looking for it. Trust me. Here's what you do, Jova. Watch this. Okay, you know the scene that leads from the that scene that where the Something There song ends, and then it fades into the beast taking a bath.
Yes.
Watch that scene in your VHS, and then watch that bit again on Disney Plus, and you'll be able to see where the cut is. And once you see it, you will not be able to unsee it. Because trust me, if you watch the two versions back to back, you'll be able to see where the cut is. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to say that the movie is ruined or whatever because of it. As someone who is passionate about media preservation, it boggles my mind that they would do that. Like, they did it for The Lion King. Why can't they do the same for this one? It's so weird. But that being said, as for The Human Again, yes, I don't particularly care for Human Again. It's not bad. It's just something that I don't think particularly adds nothing noteworthy to the movie. It's better than Morning Report, but I still don't think it's delegation from being a genuine part of the movie to just an extra on the Blu-ray. Yeah, it's something that I'm not exactly going to. Yeah, I'm okay with that, definitely, because I don't think the movie needs that song.
It's weird because I don't see even on the extras like a special edition that includes Human Again on Disney Plus.
So there's no, so they didn't even put in the Human Again song as an extra on the extra section or something. Interesting.
Shiroid Dwibs, are your Disney Pluses any different? All I'm seeing is just the trailer, the emoji thing, and the 25 years.
I've already closed, so unless Dwibs still has his copy up, then I don't know.
The only other one might be the sing-along version, which is 85 minutes, but...
Maybe, I don't know. Well, Jova, I can tell that the 2009 Blu-ray, which I own, allows you to watch the movie with either it claims to have all the two versions of the movie, but when you select which version of the movie to watch, theatrical or special, what it actually does is, if you pick theatrical, it just cuts the Blu-ray chapter that includes The Human Again. That's all it does, So that's how it was constructed. That's basically it. Top notch. 10 out of 10. 4 stars. Next.
Yeah. I guess, okay, so here's a bit about the removal of Human Again. Human Again is considered by the Disney executives as somewhat of a controversial song within Beauty and the Beast. Digital Media FX said that there's a reason that the Human Again song was not included in the original Beauty and the Beast until 2002. It didn't quite fit, and cites Disney's own statement. The song posed story problems, which was difficult to solve in a timely manner, because it was originally conceived as an 11-minute musical number. Disney had no choice but to ultimately replace the song with the shorter, more direct Something There. So yeah, essentially Something There is actually the song that was made to replace that.
Yep.
When you get down to it, as for what Kirk Wise had to say about it, he said, back when it was originally written and storyboarded, it was initially 11 minutes long, which is a pretty heavy milieu for an animated feature that already had a lot of songs. Length was one problem, and structure of the song was also a problem at the time, because it indicated the passage of time, months of time, leaves failing. That presented a couple story problems for us, because we kept asking, well, what? Is Maurice wandering around in the woods all this time? Is Gaston just sitting around in a tavern drinking beer after beer, growing a long white beard? We couldn't quite figure out what to do with the other characters during this time that Belle's at the castle and keep the motor of the story running. So, essentially, to sum it up, not only was Human Again a problem structure-wise, it was apparently a song that would have caused issues with the story as well, which... Now that probably explains why they didn't even include it in this ultra super duper version on Disney Plus, because it is literally a scene that creates plot holes.
I mean, I understand that, okay, that's completely fair, and, keep it out of the movie if you have to, but again, it's, like Pedro said, it's really unusual that it's not an extra on anything.
Now, mind you, for the version that they did include, Kirk Wise had this to say. Those were the reasons for cutting it at the time. It wasn't until we saw the Broadway version, where Alan Menken had made a substantial edit in the music and had found a slightly different place for the song to sit. So we realized there was a way to make this work. The bridge was all about time passing. the bridge, which was all about time passing, was removed, so that issue went away. And Alan did a couple of additional edits for us when we were tailoring it for the movie, and now it works. There's a great little suite of music now that starts with something there. The song that Beauty and the Beast sing while they're having a little snowball fight, which segues into Human again, which gives the object perspective on what they hope for when Beauty and the Beast fall in love, and that transitions into Beauty and the Beast, the ballad, which is the culmination of their relationship. So it's a nice little story within a story now. That said, for reasons, they decided to still cut it out of this version.
Well, I don't know what to tell you. Final thoughts, Jova?
Yeah, I enjoy this movie a lot. It used to scare me as a kid so much that every time we tried to watch it, I got scared. Mom turned it off. Went to go see Lion King instead.
I'm guessing when the Beast first comes up to Maurice.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
That said, I'm better with it now. This is a stunningly great movie. Holds up immensely well. I'm not sure if I'd call it the de facto best Renaissance film. Like, I think with this, when I think of what's best of the Renaissance era, I like to think that there are 3 giant pillars of it. Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, and Lion King. I feel like these 3 movies show particular pillars of strength that best represent the Renaissance one. Beauty and the Beast shows the stunning bouts of animation and song that they can go to. Aladdin shows the very depths of creativity they can go to. And Lion King shows just how grand in scale they could go with what seemed like a rather mundane idea. So for me, it's not that there's one best Renaissance film, it's that there's 3 best ones that represent the era overall. That being said, this one is still top-notch. In regards to comparing it to the live-action version, this one edges out the live-action version by a bit. Oh, mind you, there are still substantial reasons why, because, Belle can actually sing in this version. Sorry, Emma Watson, I love you, but you needed better singing lessons or dub. I'm sorry. That being said, the live-action version did add in one thing that this movie is sadly missing, and that is a solo number for the Beast himself. This was something that the musical actually was the first to address. Now, surprisingly, they didn't take that one, but actually made their own original song for the live-action one. And you know what?
And it's a great song.
Live-action remakes having their own original songs, I'm fine with. Speechless is actually a pretty good number for Aladdin. Mind you, the scene it's attached to doesn't make much sense, but the song is still phenomenal and works for it as well. And heck, I even liked Beyonce's new song for The Lion King, so if there is one thing I can give Disney live-action remakes, good or bad, is that their original songs are often good. Doesn't always mean that they translate their original songs into it well. I'm looking at you, be prepared, but still though, credit where credit is due, and Evermore was stunning. But in this movie in regards here, the relationship is well cultivated between our main characters. It all works out. Gaston is a fantastic villain, a good foil for the Beast. It's just a movie that gels incredibly well. And speaking of gelling well, the CGI is well used. I mean, yeah, this is kind of a no-duh thing for a Renaissance Disney film, but no, seriously, the CGI is used immensely well to the point where it does not look dated, despite coming from 1991. And trust me, that is quite a huge feat. As was this movie as a whole. Again, this would be the only time an animated film would be nominated for Best Picture in the Academy Awards. Before the Academy Awards in spite created the Best Animated Film category. And you can see why this movie nearly won that award. Well done, Disney of 1991, well done. Shiroi, since it was your pick, you give the final closing thoughts.
No, this is a great movie. No, very, very much enjoyed it. I definitely, I did compliment the remake during the commentary, just like little aspects of it. But I feel like this is a much more enjoyable and memorable experience. Like the songs and the characters are overall a bit better for the most part, Evermore notwithstanding. Except for, I do like the change that they made for Maurice, though, in the remake. He's much better there. Original Gaston is the better one. I agree with Pedro for that one. Just a lot more ham.
Because the live action Gaston is just so forgettable to me. He's just kind of gets the job done, but that's about it.
I wouldn't say he's utterly forgettable. Like, I do feel like he does have some level of charisma. It's just that he's
not as eccentric and ridiculous.
And like, I get what they were going for, but in the end, like I mentioned, it feels like they shot themselves in the foot. And yet they're going to make a prequel series for him, so I don't know. Maybe this could
Maybe that would help improve things. Maybe. I'm not sure what else to say that the others haven't already said. Like, it's a short story, but it's very concrete. It was one of the pioneers for animation, but this movie was definitely a game changer overall for a few aspects. And I don't really have much else to say that the others haven't already said. So thank you for joining us for this.
All right, then. And we'll see you for whatever comes next, movie musical-wise.
See ya.
All right, see you then.